People tend to think that if you leave wild animals alone, they will flourish. While there is truth in that statement, wildlife does still need a helping hand from humans from time to time, especially when they get into situations that they can't get out of themselves, which is also sadly caused by humans most of the time. Number 1 is the most feel-good story here, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Here are 10 of the most amazing animal rescue stories. Number 10. Saving a drowning leopard. One morning in the village of Pimpalagan, Siddharthanath in west-central India, one of the village residents heard the distressed cries of a leopard bellowing from an 80-foot well. Of course, he immediately called for help, and soon people from the Manakdo Leopard Rescue Center were on the site to help. They lowered a wooden plank, allowing the exhausted animal to climb on, before being pulled up to safety by the rescue workers. After these standard health checks, the animal was released back into the wild. Number 9. Abandoned bear cub saved by a rafter. Never ever approach a wild animal, especially a bear cub. Although cubs are extremely cute and quite harmless, they never stray too far from their mothers. And take it from all bear experts, bear moms protecting their cubs are some of the most aggressive and unpredictable animals in the world. However, if this man wasn't brave enough to approach a clearly distressed bear cub, the poor animal wouldn't even have a chance of growing up. For a few days, a tiny bear cub was spotted on the banks of the Noachukee River near the border of Tennessee and North Carolina multiple times. The tiny guy appeared to be starving and malnourished and had apparently been abandoned by its mother. The cub clearly needed food and medical attention immediately. Lucky for him, a rafting guide named Danny Allen was able to come to the rescue. The starving cub was taken to the Appalachian Bear Rescue for rehabilitation. They named the cub Nolly after the river where she nearly died. Number 8. The rescue of GLUAY Ham. GLUAY Ham was a 4-year-old elephant that was trained to perform tricks for tourists in Thailand. When he was found by National Geographic magazine underneath the stadium in Samut Prakan Crocodile Farm and Zoo near Bangkok, he was in a terrible plight. He was chained by his legs to one of the stadium pillars, and his right foreleg was hanging limp for some unknown reason, and he had a huge bloody wound on his left temple caused by lying on the floor. His condition caused an outcry from National Geographic magazine readers, and a Change.org petition was created petitioning help for the elephant, which 70,000 people gladly signed. Unfortunately, due to Thai law, GLUAY Lam is his owner's property, and rescue will only be possible if his owner agrees to sell him or relinquish him. Fortunately, Lek Chilert, founder of Save Elephant Foundation, was able to purchase him and immediately provided the poor elephant the care and the medical attention that he deserved and needed. He is now healthy and happy in his new home at Elephant Nature Park. Number 7. A grateful moose. Erikas Plukas of Lithuania found something that surprised him one morning. He lives on a farm near a wooded area, so he's used to seeing animals milling around his property. But what he found that morning was pretty unusual. That being a baby moose, clearly terrified and trying to remain motionless. The baby moose was in bad shape. It looked undernourished and was also wounded. Erikas concluded that the poor animal must have been separated from her mother, who fell victim to hunting. He called animal services immediately, but they said they couldn't do anything for the moose, so he was forced to raise it himself in his farm. After many years, Erikas and the moose, which he called Emma, formed a strong bond. Even when she was free to live freely in the woods, she would always return every day to the house of the man who gave her a new lease on life. Erikas even talked to hunter groups in his area and convinced them not to hunt Emma. Quite surprisingly, they agreed not to hunt Emma, some even committing to forego hunting forever. Number 6. Elephant in the Well. Elephants are sacred animals of the Hindu religion. In fact, the mighty elephant is the living embodiment of one of their most important gods, Ganesh, the elephant-headed god often depicted riding atop a tiny mouse. And since 80% of Indians are Hindus, it's only natural for them to help out an elephant who found itself in a lot of trouble. This is just one of those amazing stories. One night, a 25-year-old female elephant fell into a farm well in India's Dharmapuri district. The elephant in question was seen roaming the area along with a couple more elephants for a few days before the accident happened. At around 4:30 a.m., the farmer who owned the well heard the cries for help of the hapless animal. The well was 55 feet deep and was almost devoid of water, giving rise to fear that the elephant was gravely injured from the fall. It took trucks and cranes to finally fish the poor animal from out of the hole, and the entire rescue mission lasted for 14 hours. In the end, the elephant was uninjured and was soon released back into the wild. Number 5. 2 drowning bear cubs. The two were swimming across the lake with their mother, who apparently overestimated her swimming prowess and unintentionally left the two struggling behind. The cubs, who were exhausted on the effort of swimming, struggled in vain to keep up and were about to sink. Fortunately, a couple of Russian tourists were fishing in the area and saw the bears' plight and came to their aid. They fully understood that the animals were wild and the possibility of them or their mom attacking them was there, but they helped the poor animals anyway. They hauled the two to their boat using fish nets before releasing them on the lake shore, hoping that they could find their way back to their absent-minded mother. Number 4. Helping a vicious predator. If there's one animal in the world that looks like it doesn't need our help, that would be the great white shark. These vicious predators don't even need help from others of its own species, preferring to lead a solitary life. Not that it needs help though, as it's perfectly fine to do what it does best alone, and that is hunting and eating its prey. There is one thing a lone great white can't do by itself though, getting back into the water. One great white found itself stranded on a beach in Chatham, Massachusetts. It's really not known how the shark came to be in its predicament, but experts think it was probably preying on a seal and it panicked when the tide shifted. A shark scientist who was involved in the rescue said in his over 30 years of experience he had never seen a stranded great white before that day. Rescuers kept the giant fish wet and fed salt water through its gills, which is the most that they could do, and were able to drag the fish to the sea using ropes. Number 3. A pride of 33 lions. Another animal that looks like it doesn't need help from humans is the lion, the mighty king of the jungle. But as history has shown over and over again, the mightiest animal can easily fall and be subjugated by a naked bipedal ape. And that's humans, if you don't get it. Either way, 33 circus lions were rescued a couple of years ago from various locations in South America. These once majestic animals were in dire conditions, with most of them clearly malnourished. And since all of them were circus animals, they've all been declawed and their once sharp fangs smashed to bits. It took the efforts and cooperation of multiple animal rights organizations and governments all over the world to conduct the rescue, which was eventually successful. Since all 33 lions have been declawed and defanged, they can never be released into the wild, lacking the tools to hunt for food or even defend themselves. At least they did go back to their original home in Africa, where they would be cared for by different kinds of humans, ones who have their best interests at heart. Now it's time for today's best pick. Today's pick involves a whale, a humpback whale to be exact, who actually needed to be rescued not once, but twice. Find out more next with number 2. Humphrey the whale. Humphrey was a name given to a large humpback whale that was needed to be rescued twice. The first time was in 1985. In the first incident, Humphrey, for still unknown reasons, swam into the San Francisco Bay and went up to the Sacramento River. Now, it wouldn't take a degree in marine biology to know that whales and rivers actually don't mix, so people were concerned for the animal. Rescuers knew they would have to guide poor Humphrey back into the open ocean, and they tried everything that they could do, including trying to scare it back into the ocean using the sound that orcas make played through loudspeakers. And sadly, none of their attempts worked. The stress of not being in its natural habitat started to take a toll on Humphrey, who showed signs of stress. Rescuers finally found a method that did work, which is luring him out of the river by playing humpback whale social and feeding sounds. It worked, and Humphrey was safely guided back to the ocean. 5 years later, though, Humphrey needed rescuing again, this time in Brisbane, California, where he got stuck on a mudflat. He was pulled free of the mudflat using cargo nets and was guided back to the open ocean using the same method used 5 years earlier. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. The rescue of Pocho the crocodile. Some people have pet dogs, some people have cats, some have a taste for the exotic. But this guy named Cheeto from Costa Rica not only had an exotic pet, it also had the potential of biting him in half. Cheeto had a pet crocodile, Pocho, and their story is one of the most amazing ones I've heard in a while, and that's saying something given how many Disney ones I've seen. Their relationship began when Cheeto found Pocho wounded on the bank of the Paris-Mina River. He was wounded after having been shot by a farmer. Cheeto, who admitted to love all kinds of animals, took Pocho back home and cared for him until he recovered. When the croc was fully recovered, Cheeto took him back to the river, but Pocho had other ideas and followed Cheeto home. As their bond strengthened over the years, Cheeto and Pocho grew to trust each other so completely that they spent hours each day swimming and playing together. Remarkably, Pocho the crocodile was gentle and patient with his human companion, and would even respond to his name when called. Thousands of tourists, scientists, and animal behavior experts came to see Cheeto and Pocho having fun. Pocho has since died of natural causes at the age of 50, but his story continues to raise awareness about just how special crocodiles can be. Know of any more amazing animal rescue stories? Let us know down in the comments below. Feel free to watch the channel's other amazing videos as well. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody!